2022 business meeting of the Board of Education. I need a motion to call this meeting to order, please. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, for anybody who's not aware of the emergency exits, we have them to the rear of you and to the rear of us right off the stage. I need a motion for the approval of order of agenda, please.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We will start with the clerk's report.
Thank you, Mr. Springer. We can approve the minutes from the last few meetings with the consent agenda. Be it resolved that the Board of Education accepts the minutes of the business meeting held April 12, 2022, the special meeting held April 27, 2022, the budget hearing and business meeting held May 3, 2022, and the special meeting held May 17, 2022.
Okay, I need a motion, please.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We will start with the students of the month. Let me just start. Mr. Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Springer. I'd like to ask Mrs. Paramba, please come up and join me. All right, Mrs. Paramba and I are very honored to introduce the May Student of the Month from the elementary school, Colton Cappers. Colton. Colton is a smart, talented, all-around wonderful boy. His work ethic is amazing, and his perseverance knows no bounds. Colton has been a very eager and enthusiastic student this year, and we can always count on his participation no matter what the activity is. He's respectful, responsible, and always ready to learn. Colton is also extremely helpful. He's the first to help his classmates whenever they are in need, and he always volunteers to help clean up, a big thing at the elementary school. Colton is exceptionally considerate and shows incredible compassion to his classmates. Colton always shows kindness and empathy to his classmates. Colton's favorite activity out of homeroom is skiing. He loves going to visit Mrs. Sumwalt to see what they will explore for the day. So far, his favorite activities have been building a bird's nest and participating in glow games. Colton loves to learn about dinosaurs and hopes they will cover that next. If you want to see amazing school spirit, you need to look no further than Colton. Whatever our Spirit Week has in store for our school, from dressing up in pajamas, Future Self Day, or showing baby and pride, Colton does it all. Colton participated in our talent show this year, telling super funny jokes. However, I think his most creative idea was for Halloween. He really thought outside of the box and designed every outfit for his whole family. They were all Lego people and made each costume themselves. Colton totally rocked his Superman Lego costume and was so proud marching in our parade. Colton loves to participate in our whole class activities and contributes valuable information to our discussions. He brings an incredible amount of background knowledge in addition to a great sense of humor. Those jokes sure come in handy and during the right time. He says he wants to be a firefighter just like his dad when he grows up. However, he might have a future on stage as a performer. Colton is a pleasure to have in class and adds so much enthusiasm to whatever activity we are doing. Whether he's dancing to his favorite video, I Get Loose, by Cuckoo Kangaroo, helping with friends in math groups, or playing soccer during recess, Colton displays a zest for life. Colton's positive attitude is contagious, and he is joy to be around. We're truly honored and proud to have had Colton as our first grade student of the month. Thank you, Colton, for being such a wonderful young man. We can't wait to see what things you accomplish in the future. You are a first grader who truly shines. Congratulations, Colton.
Marion
I'd like to ask one of our graduates to come up and join me, Mrs. Eden. All right, it's our pleasure to nominate our June Student of the Month, Rylan Clemenson. Rylan. For many reasons, we are proud to have nominated Rylan Clemenson for June Student of the Month. Rylan exemplifies a model learner and citizen. He enters the classroom each day with a positive attitude and smiling eyes, eager to learn and have fun. His love of learning is easily demonstrated by his focus, participation, and thoughtful observations. In class, he's a kind friend who shows compassion, respect, character, and a sense of humor. Rylan and Mrs. Eden share a love of Star Wars, and in particular, Baby Yoda. Rylan's favorite subject to study is science, especially sharks. On Halloween, he demonstrated his love of sharks when he dressed as a hammerhead shark for the parade, and to go booing with Mom. If you've never been booed, you've missed something. In the future, he plans to be a marine biologist and to teach others. We know he will be a great one. During math class and calendar activities, Rylan always thinks outside the box and comes up with challenging questions to ponder. If we count the days in school by tens and ones, he wants to know how many days until 100. And he shows how to solve it as well. When making number partners to 10, Rylan demonstrates 10, and another 10 is 20, and another 10 is 30, etc. He loves to be a teacher and shares his thoughts and knowledge with the class. During book discussions, Rylan's always eager to participate and offer thoughtful answers and insights. He truly seems to love books and learning. At home, he even set up a mock book fair and various teaching situations with his family. He loves to show his creative side by producing elaborate detailed illustrations and paintings. His shark drawings are amazing. One of the most important aspects of school is to make friends and be a good friend in return. Rylan has mastered this. He plays, shares, and shows kindness and compassion to others. He easily engages with peers throughout the day. According to Rylan, the dinosaur station was his favorite, but we also have seen some masterful easel paintings and creations with friends at the marble station and magnetiles. He's always making friends at our learning centers. Rylan is easygoing with a happy disposition. He loves to laugh and enjoys Mom's daily Post-it note jokes in his lunchbox. It seems he has a genuine enthusiasm for life. Rylan has a family who enriches him, fosters his love of learning, and provides special family adventures and activities. During the winter, his dad and Mom even helped us to create a snowstorm and subsequent snow day using a special technique. For the 100th day of school, Rylan came dressed as a 100-year-old man, cane and all. For Spirit Week, he dressed quite convincingly as his future self, the President of the United States. We can say he earned our vote. We are genuinely so proud and honored to have Rylan in our kindergarten class this year and to present him as June Student of the Month. Congratulations, Rylan.
Good evening, everyone. I have the pleasure of presenting Ali Naim as our Student of the Month for May at Hampton Bays Middle School. Ali, come on down. Ali is in the 5th grade with Mrs. Schmidt and Miss Van Vikides as his teachers. I had such a great time getting to know Ali even more through a conversation with him earlier in the week. He tells me that he enjoys 5th grade because he has lots of good friends and plays games outside. Now that it's springtime and getting into summer, they've been spending a lot of time outdoors and he's enjoying it so much. He enjoys that all the time that he has during the school day that he gets to be with his best friend. Ali shared with me that his favorite class is math because it's really fun with Miss Reynolds because she makes jokes, sings, and teaches the class songs to remember how to solve problems. Ali even sang part of it for me. He says it's to the tune of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Ali enjoys learning about Legos and stop motion videos on YouTube outside of school. He also enjoys playing Minecraft. As we continued talking, he shared all the different hobbies that he likes to do in and out of school. And this includes drawing things related to nature, cars, and other technology items. I started noticing a pattern in his speech with me. He tells me that he also participated in art club this year with Miss Dayton. And Ali seems to have a large interest in arts and technology. As we continued our conversation, and I asked him a little bit about what he's thinking about for his future, everything came together. This pattern of art, technology, it all came together when Ali explained that he wants to become an inventor and create items that can help improve ecosystems. He has a very specific plan and goal for his life. He tells me that he wants to fix the environment because he doesn't like seeing so many dirt roads and trash. He's thinking maybe Harvard and Stanford would help him achieve this career goal. When I asked Ali about advice that he would give to a new incoming 5th grader, he said specifically, don't be shy. Be brave and strong. If kids talk more, they can ask more questions, and they'll learn to do more in school. That's great advice, Ali, and I'm definitely going to share it with the incoming 5th graders. Ali shared with me that he's excited for 6th grade and all of his new teachers. Before we ended, I made sure to ask Ali for a summer reading recommendation. He's currently reading The Dollar Kids by Jennifer Richard Jacobson. And it's all about a family that buys a house for $1. Imagine that. And then the kids in this family work together to fix up the house. It was definitely a fixer-upper. He tells me there's a big event in the beginning of the book, but Ali did not spoil it for me. So feel free to join me in my next summer book reading. Ali, Mr. Shug, and I are very proud of you, and we can't wait to see what 6th grade has in store. Congratulations.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to introduce our Hampton Bays Middle School Student of the Month for June, 8th grader, Dennis Williams. Dennis is a member of our Ivy League team. He is a careful listener who always offers thoughtful and articulate responses. He is a lifelong learner who succeeds in school because he applies what he's learned in class to real-life situations, as well as in the reverse. Several examples of this unique brand of middle school leadership come to mind. 1. Dennis's Patriot Pen essay was selected as a winner by the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 5350, and he was chosen to read it at the ceremony. And he did so courageously and confidently in front of a standing room-only crowd. 2. We enjoyed the challenge together of pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones at our Frost Valley trip together in March. And 3, Dennis is among an esteemed group of National Junior Honor Society inductees who meet regularly to plan ways to enhance the school experience for all students. The most notable of which is a partnership between the elementary school and middle school in which Dennis and fellow NJHS inductees volunteered to mentor kindergartners. Mrs. Fox and I loved launching this project in coordination with Mr. Meyer and Mr. T, with our National Junior Honor Society members, advisors, and kindergarten teachers. Now that we know a little bit about Dennis, allow me to share some of the ideas that I learned during our interview. One of my favorite parts of being HBMS principal. Dennis's favorite subject this year has been Spanish, with Ms. Strano. Learning to speak and understand the Spanish language is fun, useful, and the class is always a positive way to start the day. His favorite memory has been learning the food unit, especially since he's been able to practice his Spanish with his mom, and she with him, about what's for dinner, as well as what's at the dinner table. Beyond the school day, Dennis enjoys building complex and intricate structures using Lego kits. He also loves the beach, both taking walks and swimming. Dennis is an avid writer as well, having already written 2 novellas about a kid detective with a smart pet hamster. I'm adding these works to my growing summer reading list right now. While he hasn't narrowed down a specific college he'd like to attend, he does have it narrowed down geographically to what we would consider the original 13 colonies. He mentioned Stony Brook University and Brown University. But I suggest he doesn't limit himself to these choices now. His primary goal in attending the right college is that it has a good writing program, so Dennis may deepen his expertise in the craft of writing. As for his summer reading recommendations, Dennis shared that we should all start by rereading the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series, then pivot to Calvin and Hobbes, comics, and anything by the author Rick Riordan. Some of his interest in a balance of these genres sparked his learning right at HBMS. What does Dennis wish to share in terms of advice for future middle school students? Expect difficulty, start focusing, and have fun. The perfect middle school response to that question. Lastly, we should all look for Dennis Williams' name on the middle school marquee when we return from the beach this summer. Not only has this accomplishment been on Dennis's hopes and dreams list, but he also achieves a rare feat as the June Student of the Month at Hampton-based Middle School, as his name will be there as a reminder of this great kid starting tomorrow and running all the way through August. Love hearing that from Dennis. Congratulations, Dennis Williams, on this latest achievement as Student of the Month, and we can all be sure that the best is yet to come. Congrats, Dennis.
Sure.
Mr. Springer, I moved quickly. You didn't have to call my name. It is a pleasure to introduce the High School Student of the Month for the month of May, Rodrigo Quintanilla. Rodrigo, come on up. So Rodrigo was nominated by our foreign language department, and they collectively wrote that he is hardworking, responsible, has a great attitude, is always positive, in a good mood. This kid's got a great smile, by the way. He's always smiling. Okay. He's respectful, works well with others, he has great character, and of course Ms. Drohan liked to brag a little bit that he had a perfect score of 5 on the 2021 AP Spanish language exam. No easy feat. He will also be graduating this year with the seal of biliteracy. So he is an academic, he is a wonderful young man who demonstrates great character. He's going to be taking that character to Suffolk University in Boston, where he received a half merit-based scholarship. And his focus is going to be finance and possibly marketing with an emphasis on sports. So as his favorite high school principal, I'm really looking forward to him working for the Yankees, the Rangers, or perhaps the Giants, so that we might get some tickets over here. Hint, hint, hint. There we go. Thank you. All right. So he's been a member of our jazz band, our baseball team, our soccer team. Again, he did a great job of just getting involved. He took Beacon Statistics this year, so he's already started his college career. When I asked about his favorite high school experience, he talked about class night in his sophomore year, right before COVID broke out. And here we are again, having those experiences, the senior barbecue today, and he ended our conversation with, "I had a lot of fun." Rodrigo had a lot of fun. He accomplished a great deal. He makes all of us proud, the faculty and staff here are so proud of what he does. And by the way, if anyone's looking for a DJ this summer, Rodrigo's your guy. Okay? Congratulations, Rodrigo. I'm now proud to introduce to you the high school student of the month for the month of June, Santiago Salazar. Santiago, come on up. All right, I plugged Rodrigo's summer job. You have anything you want me to say? You're good? Okay, all right. Santiago's teachers talk a lot about the challenges he faced this past year. And what impressed everyone on our faculty is each and every day he comes here with a positive attitude and a smile. There's a video running around the building, Santi, when he found out that he was accepted to his dream school, Johnson in Wales. And I wish I could play it here right now. His reaction was explosive. And because of who he is and the way that he treats everyone with kindness and compassion, I think every teacher in the building that saw that was just filled with joy for him. And it's hard not to feel that way because Santi's such a great kid, such a respectful young man, and his care for others and his focus on others is incredible. He is part of the high school do-good boys that really invest quite a bit of time thinking about others and raising funds for our food pantry and other service endeavors. So, Santi, as I mentioned earlier, will be attending Johnson in Wales in the fall. He's focusing on hospitality management with a minor in wine and beverage appreciation. His goal is to follow his internship pathway, which is currently at the Wolfer Estate in Sagaponack, and his ultimate goal there is to own a vineyard or potentially a brand down the road. So he's got big aspirations and dreams, and he's got the personality, the character, and determination to make that happen. During his time here at Hampton Bays, he was a member of our football team, our tennis team. He's been on FBLA since 10th grade, so he's taking that business mindset very seriously. And his advice to others was simply this: I loved high school. Enjoy it as much as you can because it goes by really fast. Santi, knowing you, has gone by really fast, and you know, I'm sad we're not going to have you for another year, but we look forward to hearing about all the great things you're going to do. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you and congratulations to all the students. Again, we're going to move on to the tenure portion with Mr. Clemenson.
Good evening, everybody. Today is the best board meeting of the school year. It is the opportunity to celebrate the end of the academic year and an opportunity to hear amazing stories of our students. From the littlest ones, the littlest Baymans to the ones who are leaving us with today being their last day of class and what they're off to do, and everything that happens in between. We also call this board meeting the life cycle. In Miss Motz's class, we released butterflies yesterday, so I have life cycle on the brain right now from this tonight is the professional life cycle of an educator, because we have new career professionals tonight, we have tenure candidates, and then we are recognizing, as Mr. Meyer called them, our graduates, our retirees. And so tonight it's really that bookend from our 5- and 6-year-old honorees all the way to those who are heading to the beach and going to stay at the beach on September 1st, and recognizing the accomplishments that have that they have made to help make Hampton Bays Public Schools a really, really special place. So while I have the microphone, I want to go through that professional cycle here for just a moment. And I want to start by welcoming back to Hampton Bays a member of the class of 2003, Mr. Michael Morgan. Mr. Morgan is going to join the Hampton Bays leadership team at Hampton Bays High School here as soon as he completes his school year in the New York City Department of Ed. He's going to come home, and because there are students in the room, I'm not going to say where he lives, but he lives pretty close to Hampton Bays High School. So he's going to be the Mr. Feeney of Hampton Bays Public Schools, and we really just could not be happier. Board members, tonight you have a recommendation on your agenda in the business portion to appoint Mr. Morgan to a probationary assistant principal spot. It was a competitive pool, and as often is the case when you have a competitive pool of people from all over New York State wanting to work in Hampton Bays, the best is right here in our neighborhood. And so we welcome you home, Mr. Morgan, and I know your family is here as well. And we're really looking forward to working with you and then also helping keep the neighborhood around the school clean after dismissal each day. So Mr. Morgan, ladies and gentlemen, he's right here. You want to stand up? Welcome home. We're going to graduate Mrs. Pandolfo here in a little while, but I also want to welcome to this table in another few weeks Ms. Marion Lawson. Marion works in the district office right now, and if you've been employed here, you've talked to her about your benefits or your personnel issues or your personnel matters, and has been in the district for more than 20 years. And so she's going to pack her bags and move about 10 feet down the hallway to work with me. And I'm not making the same promise that I made to Mrs. Pandolfo in 2019 when I said, come work in my office, everything is normal and fine, and that was 2019, and everything runs normally and smoothly, and then we went right into COVID. So not gonna make that promise, I'm not gonna curse Ms. Lawson's next few years in our office, but she's around here somewhere in the auditorium as well. And you welcome to that. Okay, as the life cycle continues, when faculty join the Hampton Bays School District, both as teachers and as leaders, they enter a probationary term, and that term by New York State law concludes at the end of a probationary term, 4 years. And at that time, it's a professional get-to-know-you phase, it's a professional contribution phase to confer tenure, and it is a serious motion made by the Board of Education to make that professional commitment. And I had the opportunity over the last few weeks to meet with the 8 candidates you see on the screen before you, and I was able to say to each of them that tenure is not just existing for 4 years, but it is the opportunity for the Board of Education to make a professional commitment to you and you to the district and community because of the professional contributions that have been made. And you're going to hear from our principals in a moment who are making these recommendations tonight that these 8 individuals here have contributed a tremendous amount to what makes us proud to be from the Hampton Bays School District. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to introduce Mr. Meyer to talk about his recommendation for tenure, and then we'll be back to talk about our retirees as well. So to our tenure candidates and their special guests here tonight, welcome and congratulations on this professional milestone in your own careers. Mr. Meyer.
Good evening again. I'd like to ask Lauren McLinovich to come on down. You know, every great team always loves to talk about their superstars, which Lauren is, but I would also always love to talk about the utility players. Because to me, whether you're talking about football or baseball, it's always the utility players that get my attention. There's nothing better in the NFL than when you see a wide receiver that can move behind the quarterback and take a snap for a couple of trick plays. It's nothing better than when you see a wide receiver go and make a great tackle on special teams. That's what Lauren's been to the elementary school. Lauren started off as a student teacher with us. We were so impressed with her. We didn't have a full-time position. She moved into a teacher aide position for us in kindergarten, spent a couple of years for us there, moved into some leave replacement spots, and then at one point, Mr. Shug, after one of her leave replacements finished up, called me in a panic and said, I need somebody great. I need somebody great. Do you have anyone? Very reluctantly, I said, yes, I do, because I know it's the right thing for her to do. I said, I do have more, but I said, you gotta make me a promise that when I have an opening, you're gonna give it back to me. And we had a gentleman's agreement, which he tried to renege on. But after a physical altercation, we worked it out. And Lauren has been incredible. She's been in almost every grade level, from kindergarten through 6th grade. She's done everything we could ever ask of her. She's a kind, compassionate, considerate person. She holds degrees in elementary education, students with disabilities, TESOL. She's been everywhere and done everything we could ever ask of her. Outside of school, she's always available to help the community at every event and anything that we ever need. So Lauren has absolutely been a huge plus to her. She's truly an asset to the Hampton Bays School District, and we look forward to witnessing her continued commitment and devotion to our district students, and it is without reservation that I recommend her for tenure. Congratulations, Lauren.
It was stone wrestling, if anybody was wondering. I ask the following people to join me here at the podium: Caitlin Barron, Amanda Catalano, Aaron De Silva, Samantha Haney, Vicky Manzullo, Gisela Prado, and Kimberly Balone. Come on down. So I want to talk for a minute about hiring. Hiring is the most challenging, important process facing school leaders today, especially when it's done right. It's the start of a multi-decades commitment, often for generations to come. Initial position postings, resume screenings, and rigorous steps in a process. The outcome is a teacher receiving the opportunity to begin a tenure process. Then, every day is a job interview for the next 3 decades. The demands being placed on children and their families these last few years are not typical, but schools have learned to adapt so kids get what they need and what they deserve, balancing health and safety, social emotional wellness, and teaching and learning. Successful school teachers and school counselors in the 2020s, the 2020s, possess a personal toughness and professional tenacity. They maintain high levels of preparation, flexibility, and student-centeredness. These 7 people right here, standing beside me, model these qualities, demonstrating them every single day. Tonight, I confidently recommend them to the Board of Education for consideration for tenure appointments. Thank you to Mr. Clemenson, our leadership team, and the Board of Education for your support in a process that's brought us to this point with these great people. I'd like to briefly mention how each of these people help students in ways that align with their specific role in our program. Ms. Barron speaks with adolescents in ways they feel cared for and connected to the classroom community and with what they read. Ms. Balone designs lessons to help students understand and appreciate mathematics as a useful and a beautiful language. Ms. Prado inspires students, building relationships to advance their personal success. Ms. Haney models passion using academic vocabulary in ways that words are magic, both in and out of the classroom. Ms. Manzullo seizes authentic, real-world learning for her students, taking classroom learning to the outside world and back again, so they discover their personal best. Mrs. De Silva, a go-to person for everyone she meets, shapes our students' academic pathways while supporting their social-emotional wellness. And Mrs. Catalano, in her intricate role as middle school psychologist, works closely with the Office of Student Services and with staff members who are part of a special education continuum, and with any student who requires resources and support specific to their personal needs or program. I could speak for hours specifically about each of tonight's tenure candidates, but as we've learned over the last few years, it's not about individual contributions. Our best results for students and our community are achieved when we work together as a team. Each of these faculty members represents a face of the organization we are building at HBMS, a system that does many things separately very well and one thing extremely well together. Our system helps kids. For these reasons, it is without reservation that I recommend Amanda Catalano, Erin De Silva, Vicky Manzullo, Samantha Haney, Gisela Prado, Kim Malone, and Caitlin Barron for tenure in the Hampton-based schools. Congratulations.
Without question, the next group of individuals probably remembers their tenure meeting and thinking, 30 years seems like a long time, right? But a blink of an eye, and we're at the point of their career and the point of our celebration tonight to say thank you for service to the Hampton-based community, which is a place that, to a T, each of the individuals you're going to hear about tonight care deeply and passionately for, and they've left it all on the court, as I say, for our community to do that one thing well and take care of kids. So I'm going to call Mr. Meyer back up here to start our recognitions with our graduate from the elementary school, Mrs. June Eaton.
Mrs. Eden came up without being called. It's a little presumptuous. June Eden has been the linchpin of Hampton Bays Elementary School for over 40 years. I'd like to begin by boring you with 3 of the most amazing things that I ever saw in person. March 28, 1995, I watched Michael Jordan score 55 points and defeat my beloved Knicks, of course, at Madison Square Garden. April 23rd, 1997, I watched the great one, Wayne Gretzky, at the end of his career, playing for the New York Rangers, defeat the Florida Panthers at Madison Square Garden. The next greatest thing I ever witnessed in person was Tuesday, October 21st, 2003. That was the first time I watched June Eden teach kindergarten. Wayne Gretzky may have had the title of the great one in the sports world. June Eden had the title in the Hampton Bays School District as the great one. June was considered by many including me, to be the greatest teacher in the history of the school district. Kindness, generosity, and professionalism are three words that come to mind when reflecting on June's career. Over the years, I've had at least 100 former students ask me when I bump into them, "How's Mrs. Eden doing? She was the greatest." I always respond, "She still is the best." June spent over 40 years teaching at Hampton Bays Elementary School, and she's also a proud alumni. She spent her entire career, no matter where she was working or what level she was teaching at that time, preparing students for success, both in her classroom and beyond. I always say the day before winter break in an elementary school is the most exhausting time of year to work in an elementary school. Students are so excited and happy. It's a beautiful, beautiful time of year, yet unbelievably exhausting. And without fail, every day before winter break, with about an hour to go in the school day, Mrs. Eden would appear in the main office with all of her students and begin the time-honored tradition of holiday caroling. Yes, instruments included. She would lead them in song every year, happy, enthusiastic, and with more energy than everyone in the building. If I was really lucky sometimes, I would get several encores from the kindergarten class. June is looking forward to finally getting some time to herself and some long trips and vacations with also one of our other graduates, Mrs. Pandoffel, starting with a California trip to see her son, Jesse. June has been the greatest at everything she ever did. Outside of school, she's a great wife to Ken Eden, Mom Jessie, and little Ken. As a sister, June was second to none, always having great relationships with her brother Lou and Joe. In closing, June, there's no way to thank the person who dedicated her life to making the world a better place, one child at a time. The person who was the last car in the parking lot every day, working on creative lesson ideas and brainstorming with her dear colleagues. If I said we're going to miss you, that would be the understatement of my career. Retire knowing that you not only left Hampton Bays a better place, but the world as well. Wishing you a lifetime of happiness.
I use my opportunity to just whisper, do you want to reconsider? The answer is no. Where are you? Mr. Richard. Celebrating two retirees tonight, Ms. Diane Burkhart and Chef Larry Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. Clemenson, and congratulations, June, and thanks a lot, Mr. Meyer. There's no way I can follow that up. Let me start by acknowledging one of our retirees who unfortunately can't be here this evening, Diane Burkhart. And Diane, much like June, spent her entire career here at Hampton Bays and worked in a really rewarding and challenging field in special education. And she cared for kids that had difficulties in learning, and spent a great deal of time and care and compassion helping them find pathways that made sense for all of them. And if Diane were here right now, I'd like to offer her my heartfelt thanks for everything she's done over the 16 years that we've worked together. She's been a coach, she's been a mentor, she's worked in her alternative school program with at-risk students, and she was really great at not leaving any kid behind. So I would like to wish Diane a happy, healthy retirement, a well-earned retirement that I'm sure will still involve service and caring for others. So congratulations to Diane. Our second retiree is here this evening, and I would like to recognize Larry Weiss, affectionately known to us as Chef. So Chef helped us build a program, grassroots, from nothing. We started with a classroom that Mr. Clemenson and Mr. Luce and we all worked on developing with the intent of bringing a collegiate level culinary program to Hampton Bays. And we got a lot of advice from Chef. He's really good at sharing his opinion. And he basically taught us what we needed to do. He was our teacher. About what we would need to do to develop a program where we wouldn't have to ship kids off to a technical center to learn food prep and sanitation and cooking at the highest level. And he helped us do that. And then after he taught us how to build the program, then we brought kids to Chef, and he started teaching kids the passion for culinary arts. And over the years, a lot of our graduates have made their ways to culinary programs. Chef literally put kids into jobs, and high-paying jobs that were going to lead to a career outcome. And I can't begin to express my gratitude to you, Chef. Every time we asked you for help, you were there. So if it meant we had to barbecue 200 hamburgers and hot dogs for the senior class when they were having their barbecue or field day, or taking care of the veterans' breakfasts and luncheons, you helped our kids produce that outcome. And I will forever be grateful. I know every time I walk past our culinary lab, we're going to miss you. We know that you've been mentoring Chef 2.0, our friend Connor, and we look forward to your continued involvement in helping us grow this program. So congratulations on a happy and healthy retirement, Chef.
One of the things I'll miss about Chef is the text messages that I would get from Mr. Richard that would say, it's chicken parm, it's apple pie, it's creme brulee, because that's what the culinary room right here. So in order for me to get from my office to Chris's office, I'd have to swing by and check in on the kids and supervise. That's my job requires me to do. Yeah, Chris was a lot slimmer before we had a culinary program. Congratulations. We have two retirees tonight who who I have the privilege to speak about. I'll start with Ms. Deborah Penta, who will retire at the end of this month as an office assistant in our transportation office. Deb, a Hampton Bays graduate herself, started at Hampton Bays in Hampton Bays Elementary School, working as an inclusion aide, a one-to-one aide, doing everything and anything that was necessary to support instruction in the classroom. And reluctantly, at first, Mr. Meyer and Mr. T allowed her to come up to district office for half the day because we were building at the time, which was so important, and is today an Office of School Safety and transportation. And Deb's meticulous way about her and organizational skills were necessary there. That thumb wrestling came out again, and Miss Penta moved to the district office full-time after making sure that a replacement could be found in the 4th grade classroom with Mrs. DeRosa and Mrs. Reamer, the special education teacher at the time. And Miss Penta wraps up her career having established a strong office and infrastructure for school safety and transportation, which are now overseen by Mr. Foster and Mr. Ferraro. So we're sorry that she couldn't be here tonight, but thankfully we live stream, and this can be shared with Deb and her family. My partner is graduating, and as I joked before, when I first approached Christine Pandolfo, our district clerk and superintendent's partner, to move 2 doors down from the payroll office. I said, everything's normal in my office. Everything runs. I've been doing this job a long time. It'll be nice and smooth, and we're going to have a great time doing that. Only one of those things that I said was true. We had a great time doing it, but it was anything but smooth. It was twists and turns as we entered COVID and then came out of COVID and went to and economic challenges and safety challenges and anything that passes through the superintendent's office. But I had hoped Christine would say yes because of a few things she brings to every interaction and every relationship in her life. And it's her kindness, it's her care for others, and it's her willingness to do whatever it takes to make sure that everyone around her has what they need to be successful. The true mother, right, of everything, of your personal and professional life. Just making sure that the needs of others are taken care of. Christine started her career at Hampton Bays Elementary School. It seems there's a trend there. It's a breeding ground of skill and talent. And in the computer lab, back in the days when there was a room with computers, and there were no computers anywhere else, right? And you went to that room to do things on computers. And came over to district office to manage our payroll, and then wraps her career up here. But her career in Hampton Bays starts long, long ago, and I'd like to tell the what's a burglar story, if I can. So there's a few burglars sprinkled around this room and around this community. I see a few back there. And if you're of Hampton Bays, you know what a burglar is, right? And Christine comes from a long line of burglars who, among other things, are fiercely, fiercely proud of Hampton Bays. And that's been my favorite thing about working with Christine, bar none, is that our office and schools sometimes take shots, right? Particularly during the last couple of years, nationally. Schools were places that everybody touches. Everybody touches, and it impacts people's lives quite intimately. And it's your babies, it's your kids. And it's easy to say, oh, that Hampton Bays, or that Hampton Bays school. And if you said that anywhere near Mrs. Pandolfo, you were in for it, because the pride that she feels for our community was personified in the contribution she made to the school district, certainly, but in, again, her care for what comes from Hampton Bays, who comes from Hampton Bays. Her grandmother went to school here, her father went to school here. Harry Burton was class of 1949, and it was 3 years ago next month that we sat in room 9, and Christine took the oath book. And every year you take an oath because you have to, this is a government, you are serving a government here, the Board of Education, and signed the same book that her father did as a board member in 1976. And how proud he'd be to know that you cared for Hampton Bays in this important way, just like he did. And the Berglund kids all went on, the kids all went on, and their grandkids, or Harry's grandkids did as well. And we have many graduates. Alex, who is here, Alex was a class of 2011. Tommy, who's watching mid-afternoon on the West Coast right now, was the class of 2009. And if you could pick two symbols of the greatness of the Hampton Bays Public Schools, it's Tommy and Alex. And I know that in the work that she did at Hampton Bays, she saw Tommy and Alex in every one of our students, pre-K through 12. So I begged, I cajoled, I stamped my foot. I said, I promised you 3 normal years, so you need to promise me 3 normal years, and these 3 haven't been normal, so you still owe me. You're not going anywhere. But alas, she's going to join the retirement community, and she's going to join our very best friend over there, Mrs. Eaton, for lots of adventures to come. And I'm so thankful for not only the work product, but I'm so thankful for your passion and compassion for our community. Because the school district, as we've said in our office, is really the only thing in a community that touches everybody's life. Whether you went to school here, or you see a show, or come to a Friday night game, or pay your taxes and don't have any kids in the school. We're the only entity in a community that touches everybody's lives. And if everybody could behave and work and care for it like Mrs. Pandolfo, then that's why Hampton Bays is the great place that it is. So I thank you, I will miss you, and have done this in one breath so that any emotions that I have can stay there. But we're going to miss you, and on behalf of the Board of Education and the entire community, thank you for serving the board, thank you for serving our kids, and being of and for Hampton Bays. There's also a dutiful husband over there, Mr. Pandolfo, who really worked here when there were just a few computers in the district, right? And brought us a long way. And he retired just a few years ago. And like a dutiful husband, just as Christine was getting ready to retire, he went back to work, got the house ready, the backyard's beautiful, and he's going to work so Christine can enjoy some peace and quiet. So, as a few of my colleagues said, we could speak hours and hours about our tenure candidates and our new hires and our students of the month, and it's a testament to the Board of Education for getting the right people on the bus, as they say. And so this hour was a really special one to welcome our new teammates and congratulate and thank for many years of service to Hampton Bays, our retirees. We're going to take a 15-minute break because there's a celebration to be had among you, and there's pictures to be taken, and you're welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting, but there's ice cream to go get, I think, and there's other, right, Dennis? And there's other things to go do and celebrate your accomplishments tonight. So thank you and congratulations. We'll come back at 8:15. Okay, Mr. Springer, we are ready to...
Okay, folks, we're going to call the meeting back to order. If you want to stay, take your seats. And I'll present you Roy's comments.
You sure you don't want to reconsider?
Last chance.
Last chance, going. God. Okay, good evening, everybody. Before I jump into a few slides, I also want to mention a resolution under our personnel section and point your attention to Ms. Shannon Boyle, who is here with us in the back with Dr. Greenberg. Shannon is being recommended tonight for a probationary position to replace Mrs. Burkhart, and she will be special education and English. Came to us on a leave replacement last year as an English teacher, and when Mrs. Burkhart announced her retirement, went right back to handle the very few requirements that were left to finish up that special education, and produced our musical and drama, and those were great productions as well, and jumped into the school community. So tonight's recommendation on the board agenda is for Shannon Boyle. And then of course right next to her is Dr. Greenberg, who's one of her last official acts, not yet, is tonight's board meeting. And so we thank Dr. Greenberg for her service. At the end of the month, she will move on west a little bit, a lot of it, to Hewlett-Woodmere School District as the high school principal there. So we congratulate you, Dr. Greenberg, and thank you for your 3 years of service here. Enrollment stands at 2,055 students, just one shy of where we were in May. Bigger than we were at the beginning of the year, and a little bit larger a school district than we thought we would be based on our projections, but nothing out of the realm of normal or what we can manage. It just continues to bear note, and I'll say it each month, that we're graduating 204 students, and the kindergarten class is 128, and the incoming kindergarten class, the class of 2035, is projected to be right in that same ballpark as well. So the district is right-sizing itself slowly as the larger classes, 204, 170, 190, 183, 173 are replaced by classes like 128, 137, 145. So exciting time where any budget-driven staff changes or program changes are program changes, not enrollment-based changes, where we need another fourth grader, we need another English teacher to meet the minimum requirements. We get to dream, and you see that in some of the budget presentations we made earlier this spring with the introduction of Python. Our science chair coordinator is here, Ms. Cassini, has been in a lot of conversations with Mr. Carlson about those type of conversations. So, okay, we have a little bit of room in the schedule. What exciting thing could we offer for kids? Not that the basic requirements aren't exciting, but instead of just offering what's needed to get out the door with a diploma, what are the new and innovative and competitive things in 2022 we can offer? Yesterday, under the direction of coordination of Mr. Ferraro, who oversees E&L and bilingual education, we were able to grant the New York State Seal of Biliteracy to 40 students, the largest cohort ever. Mr. Carlson, who manages our title grants, was able to use some of that money to provide for a luncheon and opportunity to recognize these students for this tremendous achievement. So the Seal of Biliteracy is 4 years old. The class of 2018 was the first class to be able to earn this credential, and it is a seal on your diploma. There's also a medallion that our students will wear. 40 students is the highest we've achieved. Included in this are 3 students who earn their Seal of Biliteracy in French, now that we offer AP French, and the balance of 37 are biliterate in Spanish. several students in here are E&L students as well. So Hampton Bays really doubles down and leans in on the idea that being bilingual is an asset. It is an asset. Our E&L students are assets to the educational program here, and if they can master, with a pretty high standard, an 80 or higher in the ELA regions. So a native Spanish speaker still has to score near mastery on that ELA regions to maintain an 85 or higher average in English in their junior and senior year, and then an 85 or higher in their advanced world language. So these students graduate and are graduating from Hampton Bays High School next week with a skill that nobody can take from them. To be bilingual and take that into the sciences or take it into business or education adds something special and something different to them. So we congratulate those students and thank Ms. Burkhart, different Ms. Burkhart in our French department, and Ms. Strohan for coordinating this program with Mr. Ferraro and the high school administration as well. Full steam ahead. We, in May, got right. These are just a taste of the experiences that we've been having at Hampton Bays Schools since our last board meeting, including the school budget vote, which you'll accept the results of tonight. And a thank you to our community. We've had that message on our social media and our marquees for the last few weeks, that to have a pass rate over 80% shows a true endorsement for the educational program at Hampton Bays. We're back to overnight field trips. We put our toe in the water with Frost Valley in grade 8, and then we wrapped up this year with social emotional mental health group going out to Hugs on Shelter Island, and then our band and chorus heading down to Hershey Park in PA just before Memorial Day. We've had AP testing, NICESI testing. We had a community cornhole tournament that raised over $5,000 for our high school food pantry, Food for Thought. We honored 6 of our graduating seniors enlisting in the United States Armed Service. Mr. Richard tells me there is possibly more making that decision at this date. Our band performed in our youth leagues in the Memorial Day Parade. We've had spring sports completion with state qualifiers. It's been an exciting time with Mr. Foster sending qualifiers upstate, Staten Island, here, there, and everywhere. ES Author and Illustrator Night, concerts, art shows. Hamiya we hosted for the entire east end of Long Island. And you can continue to see the accomplishments of our students and their faculty and staff advisors. Athletic awards. Our GSA participated in the inaugural Hampton's Pride event. June is Pride Month and celebrates inclusivity and support for the LGBTQ community. And we had a group march in the parade in East Hampton on Saturday, June 4th. So a milestone moment for our kids and our school. Middle school musical was held at Good Ground Park. Positive things came out of a 2-year pandemic, and is using outdoor resources, and it was great to be down at Good Ground Park. One thing we learned was how many people fly their helicopters to the East End on a Friday in June. As every few minutes you look up and see someone else heading out east. We're heading into field days. You can see the sunburn on a few people's faces from being outside. And then we have 8th grade awards that begin on Thursday night and then take us right into next week with our Over the Bridge parade on Tuesday from 6 to 7. So you make your Oakland's reservation for 7:15 so you can get over the bridge and then turn left. But we'll have almost 200 graduates lined over the bridge. Weather hasn't failed us yet in the 2 years we've done this, so we're expecting a good day for that as well. Tonight there will be a grading policy change on the agenda for this year only. The State Education Department has made an adjustment to their Regents exams by allowing what they're calling a special appeal for students who score between a 50 and a 64 on the Regents exams. And they've left up to local decisions, so boards of education still maintain that local government control on what to do with their grading policies, since that's the purview of the Board of Education. A number of committees have met under the direction of Mr. Carlson and our building leaders at the middle and the high school to determine what to do if a student scores between a 50 and 64. As the grading policy stands right now, the Regents exam for a class that culminates in a Regents exam, that Regents exam counts for 20% of the marking period, of the final average. Marking periods 1, 2, 3, 4, plus the Regents exam divided by 5. When you don't have a Regents exam, or you have one that is 50 to 64, the worry is that a low score there is now worth 20% of the grade, even though New York State says it's passing. So the recommendation for the policy is any student taking a Regents exam this year who scores between a 50 and 64 will automatically be given the special appeal that will take their 50 to 64 score and replace it with a 65. And then that 65 grade will be counted as 20% of the final grade. Parents do have the right, by New York State Regents regulation, to opt out of that special appeal and say they don't want it. There could be a number of reasons that they don't want to have that appeal. So a student would then be considered to not have passed the Regents exam. That could mean summer school, it could mean repeating the class. But the default position will be every student receives that appeal, and parents will be communicated with the procedure if they'd like to talk to a school counselor about backing out of that. So they'll receive that. And I thank Mr. Carlson for organizing those conversations to make sure that everybody's needs, all the stakeholders' needs, are cared for. The importance of the Regents exam, the importance of preparing for that, understanding that the genesis of this is that we're still 2.5 years coming out of kids who have been quarantined multiple times, or isolated multiple times, or remote, or hybrid, or what it's been. We don't just turn the lights off and say, COVID's over, everything's normal again. We're going to be living through this for a few years of, okay, we need to address this because this was an impact, whatever this is. Right now, this is the Regents exams. The other sort of unprecedented thing was Tuesday, May 24th, we got a note about 9:30 in the morning, the State Education Department was canceling the United States History Regents, and that anybody scheduled to take it would receive an exemption. So this was the first year of this draft of this framework of the Regents exam to be given. So when that happens, it's given the first week of June, separate and apart from the other Regents that are given beginning tomorrow. The State Education Department determined that after the mass shooting in Buffalo, and uncomfortably just a few hours before the mass shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, this decision was made because there was something on that Regents exam that was deemed to be what could be traumatic to a student reading that passage or engaging that content on the test, who could have been impacted or exposed to the events in Buffalo and then ultimately Uvalde. So the State Education Department remains committed to that idea of not just the academic side of what we're doing, but the SEL and mental health side. To give you a sense of how down to the wire this decision was, and they won't release what it was because the test is determined by psychometricians who create tests to be a valid test. So it is locked somewhere in a vault, and it will be used at some later date because the content is critical to the current events, I guess. But so they won't release what it is. Those tests were already on 18-wheelers, leaving Albany, farming out around the state, and turned the trucks around. That's why we had no notice, and they just have sort of released that email. The trucks had to turn around on the interstates and go back to Albany and lock those tests up. So State Education Department's taking their work very seriously. That has a ripple effect to us in the buildings, but what the recommendation tonight is that anybody who receives, who are supposed to take the Regents exam in U.S. history, each quarter grade will count as 25% of the final grade, unless the score, so the Social Studies Department is still going to offer a Social Studies final. If that final exam is higher than the student's 4-quarter average, then it'll be counted. If not, just the 4 marking periods will be counted. So it's what we call hold harmless. Taking that final, challenging that final with this late change in approach won't harm a student. It can only help them for this year. So the grading policy amendment would be these 2 clauses, and as you can see under number 1, it is for the 21-22 school year only. The exemption will count for the June, August, and January Regents of this year, though. So that will be included in there as well. New York State School Board's convention will be held in person this year at the end of October in Syracuse. And so board members will receive information on that when the new school year begins in July. The Hampton Bays has been selected to present on the Hospitality Academy and Adult Education. So I said Mr. Springer would be happy to give that hour-and-a-half presentation. But it's an opportunity for Hampton Bays to be recognized for the work that Ms. Meyer did for the Canoe Place Inn, the Hospitality Academy. Just before Memorial Day, we spent, Mr. Luce, Mr. Richard, Mr. Farrar and I spent a couple of days up in the Syracuse region at the East Syracuse Manoa School District, and studying, experiencing their student-run credit union. So what you're looking at in that left-hand picture there is the main office of East Syracuse Manoa High School, and that is a live, legitimate FDIC or whoever insures the credit union side of the finance world, student-run credit union. So Core Federal Credit Union has a branch in East Syracuse just across the street from that high school, but 3 days a week for 2 hours a day. That branch is run by students and staffed by a credit union employee who comes over. Staff and students can transact, they can withdraw cash, they can make deposits. The students who are involved in that take business classes like money and money management. There's a financial literacy component that's tied into all students. So the students who work at the bank are really interested in this, but all students are exposed to a financial literacy curriculum, which is so important in 2022. How to manage your money, how to budget, what mortgages and credit history are all about. These students also once a month go to the elementary and middle schools in that school district, and little kids make deposits. If they have a custodial parent account, Tooth Fairy money, and they make their deposit, it's like $1 in Syracuse. I'm like, oh, the cost of living is different on Long Island. Tooth Fairy pays a little bit more on Long Island, but those kids come in and they'll put $1 in, they'll put 75 cents in, but the bottom line is they're learning the foundations of financial literacy. We can tie that to the work that we do with some of our partners to talk about 529 savings accounts for our parents, and we have ourselves the next big thing in Hampton is a financial literacy initiative. Happened to mention this to Assemblyman Theo in April, and he was interested in the idea. So when the state budget passed, we had another conversation, and he said at the end of the legislative session, which happened on June 4th, the legislature allocates a pot of money that they call bullet aid. And that pot of money is divided up between the members if there's special projects that the members of the Assembly and the Senate are interested in funding in their communities. So the culinary lab that Chris talked about a little while ago, Senator Laval happened to be walking down the hall here with us and looked in that room 27 and said, what, it was trash at that point, it was gutted. He said, what's going there? We said, well, we're trying to build this culinary lab. He came through with $55,000 in bulleting to get us over that finish line. So Assemblyman Thiel, in the final hours of the legislative session on June 4th, was able to secure $30,000 for us in additional state aid than what we were budgeted for this express purpose. So we will spend 22-23 school year as a planning year to invest stakeholders in this, that are faculty, staff, students who are really interested in this, and look to have something exciting. It will look different, I think, than East Syracuse Manoa. The genesis of this conversation came from seeing that on class trips. This is a conversation we've had as a board for a little while now. Seeing that our class trips, the biggies, the overnights, the several $100 trips, were not being represented by a majority of the class anymore. And we recall that our profile over 60 to 65% economically disadvantaged. So if you're a student at Hampton Bays High School who contributes to their household, and the money that you make working 20 to 30 to sometimes more hours per week is spoken for already. It's spoken for with your family. So when we put up the signs and say it's time to put your deposit in for this, or it's time to get this, it's a non-starter for some of our students. And so out of that was born the idea, through just talking about this conundrum about how do we provide more access to kids to the educational things at school that are just not periods 1 through 9. All the nice to haves, all the things that round out the experience of being a student in Hampton Bays. And what bubbled to the top was this idea that we can have a bank in school here, right? We have a school store, we could buy things, why don't we have a bank? Why don't we have a bank? And let's do it. And so it was like March 8th, 2020, we had a meeting with a local bank. We pitched this idea, and we're like, we just don't understand how that could work. We don't know. We said, don't worry, we have plenty of time. Nothing's going on right now. We'll keep meeting to talk about that. So by March 13th, we were closed, and then here we are 2 years later. But we see a model of this. So the superintendent there was very gracious in hosting us, and excited for this, because if we can give kids a map in 9th grade of what their high school looks like down to the class ring, their senior year, if they want their yearbook, or if they're going to Woodloch Pines, this is what it's going to cost, then they have skin in the game to start saving and start budgeting, and they can do it right here. They can put $10 a week in, and if we have a curriculum that's aligned K through 12 with financial literacy, then it's that life skill that we all bemoan, like, oh, kids need to know how to, the most expensive hat I have is a UT hat that I got for free when I got my credit card at freshman year at college. It's the most expensive free hat I've ever had because I had to learn how to have a credit card. But if we could do that with the help of Assemblyman Field, I think that could be a game changer for our students, and it's been a goal of the board for a while. The next several slides, it's the annual discussion on where we are with our COVID relief dollars. And I'm not going to go tick by tick because this is going to be posted on our website, but it's the conversation where we touch base each year to determine between last year and 2024 if the COVID relief dollars that have flowed to school districts across the United States are being spent in the ways that we had envisioned them. So the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, we call it CRISA. CRISA was signed into law in December of 2020, and Hampton Bay's allotment, there are 2 streams of funding there, was about $1.9 million to be used by September 30th of 2023. So after the next school year, we have to use that. And the expectations are that they're either for summer learning or after-school programs to remediate learning gaps, to address social, emotional, academic needs, at-risk needs, the mental health services and supports for our kids and staff, to repair and improve school facilities, including air quality, provide for activities during any future long-term closures, educational technology, public health protocols related to a global pandemic as well. So fairly broad expectations for how the grants could be used, and a lot of money. And so the next several slides go through where we have budgeted the money through working with our district cabinet. We revisit this. Mr. Carlson manages where we are dollar for dollar with these funds, but you can see that for Gear 2, we're 99.5% budgeted, encumbered, or expensed. We streamlined our Chromebook one-to-one initiative so that we have 1 class per year on cycle. So we ramped up really fast in March of 2020, and now we're down to a very manageable, every year a set of Chromebooks comes off life and we buy new ones. So it's a manageable cycle. Document cameras, building out our K-5 literacy program with Fondas and Canal, and the new kindergarten screener that I mentioned last month at our board meeting. The ESSER dollar is 1.7. Lots of fairly little things, relatively speaking, sound field systems and iPads to support testing and supporting special education. And Surface Pros for the leadership team because they often are working remotely. Summer school enhancements, after school enhancements, credit recovery that we've talked about, so that's summer school mitigation. A couple of the big ticket items are the installation of an outdoor classroom at the elementary school and an full renovation of the library courtyard here at the high school. The middle school, our architects scoured every inch of that property to find, but we already have built-in courtyards that are often used, and we have $40,000 dedicated to an upgrade to the garden system, to the garden program as well. So 99.9% of these dollars are budgeted for, encumbered, or already expensed. The American Rescue Plan, another $2 million worth of funding. So all of a sudden this funding flowed to school districts. If it didn't go to us, it was going to go somewhere else, which is why we've made those decisions to use these dollars. As the federal government, all the way back to 2020, has indicated, these funds are intended to be not supplant things that are paid for on an ongoing basis. They shouldn't be recurring expenses because these funds do expire, and I don't think the government has the money to renew funds to this level. So you can see through these slides, additional social worker, more quarantine instruction. A lot of these expenses in the ARPA grant are continuations of what was in the CRISA grant, because the CRISA grant runs out next year, but ARPA goes the following year. So it allows us to eat a little bit longer at the table on some of these items. I've touched on all of these in one way or another. Some construction that will happen at the elementary school is a toilet room in the Life Skills Academy classroom at the elementary school, and then the eventual construction of entrance canopies over that hallway, the grade level hallway entrances. 97% of these funds are budgeted for, encumbered, or expensed. We do this annually because costs change from when we wrote this grant last year and had it approved by New York State, and also priorities might shift as well. So we revisit this over time and ultimately make decisions. So these slides will get posted this week to our district finance page, so anybody wanting to read more carefully about it certainly can. Those are my slides. That's the presentation for tonight. I'll take any questions that you have. Ms. Coffin.
Are we looking into maybe hiring more teachers to keep class sizes down?
So the question, are we hiring more teachers to keep class sizes down? In this grant, we have three additional interventionist teachers at the elementary school and an additional at the middle school as well. We're using those grant funds in addition to a declining enrollment, particularly in the 5 through 12 area, and you're seeing class sizes come down a little bit. Before the pandemic, where's Mr. Meyer? There you are. Before the pandemic, there were certain grade levels where we were 6 sections, right? During the pandemic, we jumped to 9 or 10 sections to really keep the cohorts down. And this year we didn't go back down to 6. So we've seen that some of our teachers who might have been all pull-out teachers or all push-in teachers own their own classrooms, and class sizes are at a pretty comfortable level right now. Seeing the same thing at the secondary level as the water recedes. The high school is going to be the last bit of that water receding. I'm sorry?
I would like to continue to see small class sizes.
Class size as a priority. Yep. Spoken from a teacher, from a kindergarten teacher. Makes a difference.
Huge.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. Okay. We will go to the business and finance section, and we will do a consent agenda from 4A to 4E. I need a motion, please.
Motion?
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Food services, I need a motion. I need a second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We will do 6A on its own. Christine, if you can read and we'll do a quick vote.
Whereas, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education grant tenure in accordance with Chapter 1 of the Board of Regents of the New York State Education Law to those candidates eligible, and whereas the Board of Education is in accordance with such recommendation, therefore, be it resolved that the following individuals be granted tenure in the special subject tenure area indicated with the effective dates noted.
One at a time.
Caitlin Barron.
Aye.
Aye.
Erin De Silva.
Aye.
Aye.
Amanda Catalano.
Aye.
Aye.
Samantha Haney.
Aye.
Aye.
Victoria Manzullo.
Aye.
Aye.
Lauren McKellenich.
Aye.
Aye.
Stella Prado.
Aye.
Aye.
And Kimberly Valone.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. We will do a consent agenda from 6B to 6M, I believe it is. 6M, I need a motion.
Motion?
I need a second.
Second.
Passes. Emergency amendment to the grading policy and a consent agenda from 7A to 7F. I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Public comment. Persons may address the Board of Education on any matters of interest or concern. The board president will recognize all speakers. Time limits may be imposed based upon agenda items. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting. Need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Mike, welcome.